Adrift among the stars. The void of space stretched endlessly around scout vessel VXR-17. Inside, Next-Terral stared at the warning lights that flashed across the control interface. The ship's propulsion system had failed catastrophically, leaving only the eerie silence of space and the soft hum of auxiliary power systems. Next-Terral's four-fingered hands moved methodically across the controls, searching for any response. There was none. The Vexari scout had been mapping an uncharted sector near the edge of known space when the ship encountered an anomalous radiation field. The sensors had detected it too late, and the resulting surge had fried most of the vessel's primary systems. Now, VXR-17 drifted helplessly through the emptiness, its momentum carrying it ever farther from the established routes of Vexari space. Scout Log, Cycle 3728, Unit Next-Terral recording. The alien spoke in a calm, measured tone to the still-functioning data recorder. Main propulsion offline. Communications array non-functional. Life support operating at 42% efficiency. Automated distress beacon damaged beyond repair. Next-Terral's large compound eyes blinked in sequence, a Vexari expression of calculated assessment. The silver-blue shimmer of the alien's exoskeleton caught the dim emergency lighting as Next-Terral moved to check the life support readouts. Remaining resources sufficient for 15 standard cycles. The scout continued. Probability of rescue before resource depletion, 0.87%. Protocol dictates continued data collection until final resource exhaustion. The Vexari Empire operated on principles of absolute efficiency. Every resource, including the lives of its citizens, was allocated based on calculated value to the collective. A single scout lost in uncharted space would not warrant a rescue mission. The resources required would far exceed the value of recovery. This was not cruelty in Vexari culture. It was mathematics, cold and precise. Next-Terral accepted this reality without emotion. Vexari were not emotionless beings, but they were taught from hatching to subordinate feelings to logic. The scout's death would be regrettable but necessary, an acceptable loss in the greater equation of imperial expansion and knowledge acquisition. For 6 cycles, Next-Terral maintained the scout's routine. Sleep periods were minimized to optimize remaining time. Food rations were calculated precisely. Every waking moment was dedicated to observing and recording the surrounding space, gathering data that might someday benefit the Empire if the scout vessel's black box was ever recovered. Scout Log, Cycle 3734, Next-Terral recorded. Discovered unusual stellar phenomenon in Sector 7 Alpha. A white dwarf star exhibiting unexpected radiation patterns. Data suggests possible artificial origin. Further observation recommended. Pausing the recording, Next-Terral allowed a moment of contemplation. These observations would likely never reach the Empire's scientific division. The data would die here, along with its collector. For the first time since the accident, Next-Terral felt a flicker of what humans might recognize as regret. Not for the impending death, but for the loss of potentially valuable information. As the 9th cycle began, life support systems had deteriorated further. The temperature regulation had failed, leaving the cabin uncomfortably cold for Vexari physiology. Next-Terral had entered the conservation state, a form of semi-hibernation that would extend the remaining oxygen supply. In this state, only minimal brain functions remained active, just enough to maintain basic monitoring of the ship's systems. A sudden alert tone pierced the silence, pulling Next-Terral from the conservation state. One of the few functioning external sensors had detected something approaching, a vessel moving on an intercept course with VXR-17. This was unexpected. The probability calculations had been clear. This region was too remote for chance encounters. Next-Terral moved stiffly to the console, body temperature still below optimal after the conservation state. The sensor readings were confused by the radiation field, but something large was definitely approaching. Not Vexari design. The dimensions and energy signature matched nothing in the Scout's database. Scout Log, supplementary entry, Next-Terral recorded. Unknown vessel approaching. Configuration suggests technological spacefaring civilization, previously undocumented by Empire, preparing for possible first contact scenario, or salvage attempt. The latter was more likely. Many species throughout the galaxy would see a disabled vessel as an opportunity for technological acquisition. Vexari scout ships contained valuable data and technology. Next, Terrell began the emergency data purge sequence as protocol demanded. Before the sequence could complete, however, something unexpected happened. The communication system, which had been completely non-functional since the accident, suddenly activated with a burst of static. A voice came through, speaking an unknown language. The ship's translation matrix struggled to process the unfamiliar sounds. After several repetitions, partial translation began. Vessel in distress. This is the Earth exploration ship Pathfinder. We have detected your emergency power signature and are offering assistance. Please respond if able. Assistance. Next, Terrell paused the data purge. This concept was unexpected. Why would an unknown species offer assistance to a stranded Vexari scout? There was no obvious benefit to them. It represented an inefficient allocation of their resources. With hesitant movements, Next Terrell activated the emergency communication system. This is Scout Next Terrell of the Vexari Empire. My vessel is critically damaged. Life support failing. Remaining functionality 11 cycles maximum. There was a pause, then the response came quickly. Understood. Scout Next Terrell. We are approaching your position. We will reach you in approximately 3 hours. Please conserve your resources. We are coming to help. Next Terrell stared at the communication panel. The response defied all logical analysis. These strangers were diverting their ship and resources to rescue a single alien of unknown origin or value. The behavior pattern conflicted with all known interspecies interaction protocols in Vexari databases. As the strange ship grew closer on the sensors, Next Terrell recorded one final note: unknown species approaching. They claim intent to rescue this scout. Behavior is inconsistent with efficiency-based decision models. Will observe and report. The approaching vessel finally came into visual range. It was unlike anything in Vexari records, a design that seemed almost haphazard by Vexari standards, with curved sections and asymmetrical features. Inefficient, Next Terrell's training insisted, yet the vessel moved with remarkable precision through the radiation field that had crippled the scout ship. Scout Next Terrell, this is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Pathfinder. We're preparing to establish a docking connection with your vessel. Please stand by. The voice was calm and assured. Next Terrell noted that their translator was adapting quickly to the Vexari language. These beings had impressive technology. I do not understand. Next Terrell replied. Why do you assist me? We have never encountered your species. There is no established mutual benefit protocol. There was a brief pause before the response came. Because you need help, Captain Reyes said simply, as if that explained everything. We don't leave anyone stranded in space if we can help it. It doesn't matter what species you are. This concept was so foreign to Next Terrell that the scout struggled to process it. In Vexari culture, all actions were calculated for maximum efficiency and benefit to the Empire. Rescuing a single scout, especially one from another species, would never be considered a worthwhile use of resources. A gentle shudder ran through the scout ship as the Pathfinder extended a docking tube. Next Terrell gathered the critical data records and prepared to meet these strange beings. If the scout survived this encounter, the information would be valuable to the Empire. Stand clear of your airlock, a new voice instructed. We're cutting through. Your door mechanism appears damaged. Minutes later, there was a hiss as the seal was breached. Next Terrell stood tall, silver-blue exoskeleton gleaming under the emergency lights. The scout's four-fingered hands were empty, showing no weapons. The airlock door slid open. 3 figures stood there, wearing sealed environmental suits. Their visors were transparent, revealing faces unlike any Next Terrell had seen. Soft features, varied coloration, with patches of fur on some of their heads. "Hello," said the one in front, removing her helmet to reveal dark skin and curly black hair. "I'm Captain Elena Reyes. This is our medical officer, Dr. Patel, and our engineer, Martinez. We're here to help you." Next, Terrell performed the formal greeting gesture of the Vexari people, a precise 45-degree bow. "I am Scout Next Terrell of the 17th Exploration Division, Vexari Empire." The three humans looked at the alien with expressions Next Terrell couldn't interpret. Were they assessing value? Calculating worth? "Are you injured?" asked Dr. Patel, stepping forward with a small device. "I'd like to check if you need medical attention." "My physical condition is within acceptable parameters," Next Terrell replied. "My vessel's resources were calculated to maintain function for 11 more cycles. Your intervention was statistically unnecessary." The humans exchanged glances. "Unnecessary," Captain Rice repeated. "You would have died out here." "Yes, that is the expected outcome when a scout vessel fails in uncharted territory. It is inefficient to risk multiple lives and resources to save one." Martinez, the engineer, stepped forward. "That's not how we see things. We believe every life has value worth saving." Next Terrell tilted its head. "Interesting philosophy. Impractical, but interesting." "Let's get you aboard our ship," Captain Rice said. "Your life support is failing, and this radiation field is affecting our systems too. We need to move quickly." As they guided Next Terrell through the docking tube to their ship, the scout continued to observe everything. The interior of the Pathfinder was spacious by Vexari standards. The corridors were well lit, with displays showing ship systems and what appeared to be decorative images, another inefficiency. They'd brought Next Terrell to what they called their medical bay, a large room filled with beds and equipment. Dr. Patel asked the scout to sit while running scans. "Your physiology is fascinating," she said, looking at the readings. "Exoskeletal structure, copper-based blood analog, multiple heart chambers. Are you comfortable with our atmosphere?" "It contains sufficient oxygen," Next Terrell confirmed, "though the temperature is lower than Vexari standard. We can adjust the environmental controls in the guest quarters we're preparing for you," Captain Rice offered. Guest quarters. Next Terrell had expected to be placed in a secure holding area while they determined what to do with this alien visitor. These humans continued to behave in unpredictable ways. "Captain," the scout said, "I must understand your motivation. In Vexari society, resources are never expended without calculated return. What do you gain from rescuing me?" Captain Reyes seemed to consider the question carefully before answering. "We gain knowledge, for one thing. This is our first encounter with your species. But more importantly, we gain the satisfaction of knowing we did the right thing. Helping others isn't about calculation. It's about connection." Connection. Next Terrell repeated the unfamiliar concept. "Yes," Dr. Patil added. "Humans believe that sentient beings have inherent value, regardless of their utility. When we help others, we strengthen the connections between all thinking beings." Next Terrell processed this information slowly. It was the most alien concept the scout had encountered in all years of space exploration, more alien than the strange radiation field or the unusual design of their ship. These humans valued individual life, not for its usefulness, but simply because it was life. Next Terrell added a mental note to the mission log. This would be the most significant cultural discovery of the scout's career, if survival permitted a report to the Empire. And for the first time in life, Next Terrell felt something that might, inefficiently, be called hope. The value of a single life. After 3 Earth days aboard the Pathfinder, Next Terrell began to adapt to human customs. They had given the Vexari scout a private room with adjusted temperature and humidity to match Vexari comfort levels. The humans called these guest quarters, a concept that seemed wasteful to Next Terrell. On Vexari ships, temporary occupants would share basic sleeping areas optimized for maximum efficiency. Next Terrell sat with Dr. Eliza Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, in what the humans called the observation lounge. Through the large windows, they could see the swirling radiation field that had disabled the scout ship. The Pathfinder had moved to a safer distance, but remained in the sector to study the phenomenon. "Your data on the radiation patterns is remarkable," Dr. Chen said, examining the files Next Terrell had shared. "You recorded details our sensors missed entirely. This could save lives in the future." "Vexari scout vessels are designed for detailed observation," Next Terrell explained. "It is our primary function." "Still, your work is impressive," Chen insisted. "You continued gathering data even when you believed you would die alone." "It was my duty," Next Terrell stated simply. "The data might have been recovered eventually." Dr. Chen looked at the alien with an expression Next Terrell was learning to recognize as admiration, a concept the Vexari found difficult to process. In Vexari culture, one performed assigned tasks with maximum efficiency. Special recognition for expected performance was considered unnecessary. "May I ask you something personal?" Chen asked. Next Terrell tilted its head in the Vexari gesture of assent. "Were you afraid? When you thought you would die alone out there?" The question required consideration. Vexari experienced emotions, but they were trained from hatching to subordinate feelings to logic. "Fear is inefficient when it cannot change outcomes," Next Terrell finally answered. "I experienced regret that my data might be lost, that my absence would create a small inefficiency in the Empire's exploration grid. But fear? No." Chen seemed troubled by this response. "Don't your people mourn when someone dies? We acknowledge the resource loss. We reassign duties. We optimize to accommodate the absence." Next, Terrell paused. "I have observed the humans place high value on individual continuation. This seems inefficient." "Perhaps," Chen admitted with a small smile. "But it's what makes us human." Their conversation was interrupted by the ship's communication system. "Dr. Chen and our guest Next Terrell, please report to the bridge." When they arrived, Captain Rice was standing before the main view screen, which displayed a three-dimensional map of the radiation field. Several other crew members worked at their stations with an intensity Next Terrell hadn't seen before. "We have a situation," Rice explained as they entered. "The radiation field is expanding, and its intensity has increased by 300% in the last hour." Chief Engineer Martinez pointed to the display. "At this rate, it will reach us within 20 minutes, even at our current distance. And based on what happened to Next Terrell's ship, we don't want to be here when it hits." "Can we outrun it?" Dr. Chen asked. "Not at its current rate of expansion," the navigation officer replied. "Our engines are already showing strain from the radiation we've absorbed." Captain Rice turned to Next Terrell. "Your scout ship encountered this phenomenon first. Did you observe anything that might help us understand what's happening?" Next Terrell moved to the display, studying the patterns. "The radiation appears to pulse at regular intervals. In my observations, I noted a correlation between the pulses and energy spikes. However, the pattern was stable then. This rapid expansion is new." "Could something have triggered it?" Rice asked. Next Terrell considered. "Possibly. My final scans detected unusual energy signatures near the center of the field. I hypothesized it might be artificial in origin." The bridge grew quiet. "Artificial," Martinez repeated. "You think someone made this?" "The evidence was inconclusive," Next Terrell clarified. "But the mathematical precision of the pulse pattern suggested possible intelligent design." Rice turned to her science officer. "Could this be some kind of defense system, or a trap?" "If it is," the officer replied, "it's unlike anything we've encountered before." Next Terrell studied the expanding field. "There's a pattern to the expansion. It's not uniform." The scout's four-fingered hand traced a path on the display. "Here, the radiation density is lower. A vessel with appropriate shielding might navigate through this corridor." "Can the Pathfinder make it?" Rice asked Martinez. The engineer shook his head. "Not with our current shield configuration. We'd need to modify our deflector array to match the specific frequency of the radiation. How long would that take? 6 hours, minimum. We don't have that kind of time. Next, Turl's compound eyes blinked in sequence as a realization formed. My scout vessel's shield harmonics were partially adapted to the radiation before system failure. The configuration data is in my records. Could we use that to modify our shields? Rise asked Martinez. Maybe, the engineer said. But somebody would need to install a modulation relay directly into the deflector control junction. It's in a maintenance shaft that's already showing high radiation levels. Whoever goes in there would receive a dangerous dose, Dr. Patil warned from her medical station. Even with protection. Captain Rice looked grim. I need a volunteer. Before anyone could respond, Next Terrell stepped forward. I should go. Vexary physiology is more resistant to this type of radiation than human biology. My exoskeleton provides natural shielding. No, Rice said firmly. You're our guest. I won't put you at risk. Captain, Next Terrell replied, this is a simple matter of efficiency. My survival chances are 23% higher than any human crew members would be. It's still too dangerous, Rice insisted. Next Terrell tilted its head. You risked your ship and crew to save me, a single alien scout of no value to your species. By your own ethical standards, should I not be permitted to take a calculated risk to save 157 human lives? The captain looked at Dr. Patel, who reluctantly nodded. The Vexary's assessment is correct. Their biology does offer better protection against this specific radiation. Ray still hesitated. Are you sure about this? For the first time, Next Terrell used a human gesture, a nod. I am sure. It is the right thing to do. 30 minutes later, Next Terrell crawled through the narrow maintenance shaft toward the deflector control junction. The scout's exoskeleton was supplemented by a modified environmental suit, but radiation warnings still flashed on the heads-up display. Martinez guided the alien through the procedure via communicator. You'll see a series of blue conduits connecting to a central hub, the engineer explained. The modulation relay needs to be integrated between the phase discriminator and the primary emitter. Confirmed. Next Terrell replied, reaching the junction. Beginning installation. The scout's hands worked methodically, connecting the device that would allow the Pathfinder to navigate through the radiation corridor. As Next Terrell worked, the radiation levels continued to rise. Warning indicators flashed more urgently on the display. How are you holding up? Martinez asked, concern evident in his voice. Functioning within parameters, Next Terrell answered, though the scout was now experiencing significant discomfort as radiation penetrated the exoskeleton. Estimated completion time: 3 minutes. In the final moments of the installation, a radiation surge caused Next Terrell to falter. One of the scout's forehands slipped, nearly dislodging the critical connection. Next Terrell, Martinez called. Your life signs are fluctuating. Get out of there now. Installation not complete, the scout managed. Final calibration required. With deteriorating motor control, Next Terrell forced the alien's hands to complete the necessary adjustments. As the last connection locked into place, the system hummed to life. Modulation relay online. Martinez confirmed from the bridge. Shield harmonics adapting to radiation patterns. It's working. Next Terrell began the journey back through the maintenance shaft, moving considerably slower than before. The radiation damage was taking its toll. Halfway to the exit, the scout collapsed. The next thing Next Terrell knew, Dr. Patel was leaning over the medical bay bed, running a scanner over the alien's body. Welcome back, she said with evident relief. You've been unconscious for 11 hours. Next Terrell's compound eyes struggled to focus. The ship, the crew. Safe, Patil assured. We made it through the radiation corridor. We're clear of the field and on course for Earth. Captain Rice had a team retrieve you from the maintenance shaft as soon as the shields were up. They risked additional exposure to retrieve me. Dr. Patil smiled. Of course they did. Would you expect anything less from us humans by now? As strength returned over the following days, next Terrell spent more time with the crew, observing their interactions with newfound perspective. The scout noticed how they supported one another, celebrated small victories, shared personal stories during meals, behaviors that would be considered inefficient on a Vexeri vessel, yet somehow resulted in remarkable cohesion and adaptability. Captain Rice visited often, bringing information about Earth and asking questions about the Vexeri Empire. During one such visit, she brought news. "We've made contact with your people," she said. "A long-range message reached one of your border outposts. They're sending a ship to rendezvous with us in 3 weeks." Next Terrell processed this information. They are sending a ship for a single scout. That is unprecedented. Reyes smiled. "I may have emphasized the valuable cultural exchange opportunity and mentioned your heroic actions that saved our crew." "I see," Next Terrell said. "You applied efficiency logic that they would understand." "Sometimes you have to speak the same language," Reyes agreed. "But I didn't lie. Your actions were heroic, and this cultural exchange is valuable." On the day of the rendezvous, Next Terrell stood in the Pathfinder's docking bay with Captain Rice and her senior officers. The Vexeri diplomatic vessel had just completed docking procedures. "I have been calculating," Next Terrell said, "how to explain humanity to my people. Our databases will need significant revision." "Oh," Rice raised an eyebrow. "And what conclusion have you reached?" "That efficiency takes many forms," the scout replied. "That the Vexeri definition has been incomplete. Your species values individual life in a way mine does not. Yet you have achieved remarkable technological advancement and social cohesion. This suggests our models require revaluation. Will your superiors listen?" Dr. Chen asked. "They are Vexeri," Next Terrell said. "They will evaluate the evidence and adjust their models accordingly. It is the efficient course of action." The airlock door opened, revealing 3 Vexeri officials in formal attire. They appeared momentarily startled by the informal reception arranged by the humans. Next Terrell stepped forward and performed the formal Vexeri greeting. "Greetings, representatives of the Empire. I present Captain Alina Reyes and the crew of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. They merit special designation in our contact protocols." The lead Vexeri official returned the greeting, then addressed Captain Reyes. "Our preliminary analysis of Scout Next Terrell's transmissions indicates a species of significant interest. The Empire acknowledges the debt incurred by your rescue operation." "There is no debt," Reyes said warmly. "We're just glad we could help." The Vexeri officials exchanged glances, clearly puzzled by this response. "You will understand," Next Terrell said to them, "as I have begun to understand. Humanity operates on principles that at first appear inefficient, yet produce remarkable results. They value connection above calculation." As the formal introductions continued, Next Terrell observed the interaction between humans and Vexeri with new perspective. 2 profoundly different approaches to existence were meeting for the first time, one built on precise calculation of value, the other on the immeasurable worth of a single life. The scout knew that this encounter would change both species forever. The Vexeri would learn that their efficient equations had been missing crucial variables. The humans would encounter a civilization that could enhance their technologies and methodologies. And somewhere in between, perhaps both would discover a better way forward among the stars. Next Terrell had gone into deep space to discover new worlds. Instead, the scout had found something far more significant. A new way of seeing the universe itself, through the unexpected compassion of beings who would risk everything to save a single life lost among the stars. It was, by any calculation, the most efficient outcome possible.